Growing up in India, Jasmine spent her childhood in the village of Northern Gad, located in the Sandra district of India. From a very early age, Jasmine was inclined to help others, always doing what she could to support her family. She grew up alongside her sister, Manpreet, and her brothers. Sadly, her father passed away when Jasmine was just a teenager, and this loss solidified her desire to become a nurse. She hoped that with her training and qualifications, she could one day care for her mother as she grew older. With this dream in her heart, she pleaded with her mother to allow her to move to Adelaide, located in South Australia, so she could study nursing. Jasmine had always dreamt of experiencing life outside of India. It was a longing she nurtured for quite some time. And I have to say, she chose an absolutely wonderful place, Australia, with its wilderness and lifestyle, not to mention its excellent reputation for education. Initially, her mother was hesitant, but eventually, she yielded to Jasmine's wishes. However, there was one condition: Jasmine had to live with her aunt and uncle, who already resided in Adelaide. Jasmine joyfully accepted the offer, and with her admission to Tennessee University approved, she was thrilled to embark on her journey down under. With that, she packed her bags, bid her farewells, and boarded her flight to Australia. Jasmine discovered a new life in Adelaide, a city brimming with festivals, sports, delectable food, and aromatic coffee. Amidst her lessons, there were numerous indulgences to enjoy. She also secured a job at an aged care facility in the city named Southern Cross Cow, where she was highly regarded by her colleagues and patients for her reliability, amiability, and diligence. During her university studies, she crossed paths with a young man named Tarikjot. Instantly, they found common ground, both hailing from India and pursuing education in Australia. It didn't take long for them to develop a deep connection, and they quickly fell for each other. Tarjot was born to his parents, Mohan and Jasmine. He grew up in Bala village near Samarala in India, where his father worked as a farmer and factory laborer, while his mother managed their home. Tarjot demonstrated a natural talent for his studies, excelling in wellness classes and consistently achieving outstanding results. He scored an impressive 95% in the Class 10 CBSE exam, a national test taken by all secondary school students. His academic prowess continued in the Class 12 exam, where he achieved a remarkable 96%, showcasing his evident aptitude and ability. Tarjot aspired to pursue computer sciences. After completing his initial studies, he journeyed to Australia upon securing a spot at UniSA, the University of South Adelaide, in the year 2016. He commenced his degree, finding work as a respite carer between his studies. Later that same year, Jasmine also enrolled in the same university. Initially, their relationship seemed promising, but with time, subtle fractures emerged in their once harmonious life. The exact reasons for their relationship's deterioration remained unclear. However, both sets of parents eventually became involved. While Tarikjot's parents firmly believed in the couple's compatibility and saw a happy future for them, Jasmine's family had reservations, leading to a complex situation. The situation is complex, as both sets of parents have drastically different accounts of the events. According to Tarikjot's parents, Jasmine attempted to seek approval from her family for their relationship and marriage. However, her mother, uncle, and aunt strongly opposed the idea, citing their affluent background. Allegedly, they not only rejected the relationship but also pressured Jasmine to end it, leading Tarjot into a depressive state. Tarikjot's parents further claimed that Jasmine's family attempted to arrange her marriage with someone else, causing her to spiral into distress. In their narrative, Tarjot emerged as the hero, intervening to rescue Jasmine from her struggles. However, Jasmine's perspective on the situation differed significantly at that time. During their relationship, Jasmine began to voice concerns about Tarikjot's increasingly controlling behavior. She noted that he attempted to restrict her interactions, dictating who she could spend time with, where she could go without him, and even who she could communicate with. According to Jasmine's mother, Tarjot became fixated on her daughter, persistently proposing marriage. By 2021, Jasmine became worn out from his possessiveness, leading her to make the difficult decision to end their relationship. However, this choice did not resolve the issue. Despite their official breakup on January 4, 2021, it became apparent that Tarikjot was unwilling to accept this decision. Tarikjot escalated his harassment and stalking of Jasmine, meticulously tracking her online presence and trailing her from her residence. He began hurling insulting text messages at her. The messages were relentless, filled with threats not only to Jasmine but also to her family. He even went so far as to threaten self-harm unless she returned to him. Understandably alarmed, Jasmine reported this deeply disturbing behavior to the police. Tarikjot intensified his harassment by relentlessly pursuing Jasmine's family. Despite the pressure, Jasmine bravely shared this information and provided follow-up statements to the police. She pointed out that 2 officers, who had previously been in a relationship for 9 months, which was now over, were involved. Despite their relationship ending, one of the officers continued to stalk her at her workplace. In her statement, she described Tarikjot as overly possessive, emphasizing his attempts to control her social interactions. He would grow furious if she made plans with friends or if she went anywhere without him. Despite the official caution from the Adelaide police in February 2021, Tarikjot continued his obsessive behavior. The Kaur family had hoped that the warning would curb his stalking tendencies, but their hopes were shattered. On March 6, 2021, 1 month after Tarikjot's caution, Jasmine's colleagues at the Southern Cross Care Home were alarmed to discover that she had not arrived for work as expected. This sudden absence raised concerns among her coworkers, who were accustomed to her punctuality and dedication. Jasmine's absence from work sent shockwaves through her workplace. Her colleagues, familiar with her impeccable work ethic, became increasingly worried about her unexplained absence. Puzzled by her sudden tardiness, they decided to call her aunt and uncle's home to check on her well-being. Unfortunately, this phone call only deepened their concerns as Jasmine's family was equally clueless about her whereabouts. With no sign of Jasmine and growing anxiety among her loved ones, her aunt made the difficult decision to contact the police and report her as missing. Given Jasmine's stable life in Adelaide, the possibility of her running away seemed highly unlikely. She had commitments, bills to pay, and exciting plans, including a long-awaited visit to her family in India, making her sudden disappearance all the more perplexing. As investigators delved into the mysterious disappearance of Jasmine, they naturally focused their attention on her ex-boyfriends. Tarikjot, having been previously cautioned for stalking, swiftly became a person of interest. When questioned about Jasmine's disappearance, Tarikjot initially claimed he knew nothing and was alone at home on the night she vanished. However, his alibi soon unraveled, and by the following morning, he had changed his story dramatically. Tarikjot confessed that he had seen Jasmine that night, but shockingly, he claimed she had taken her own life. Instead of alerting the authorities, he decided to bury her body, concealing it some 400 kilometers north of Adelaide in the remote Flinders Ranges. This area, characterized by its immense wilderness and isolation, offered a grim hiding place for his terrible crime. Despite its natural beauty, the desolation of the Flinders Ranges allowed him to keep his dark secret hidden away from the world. In a disturbing turn of events, Tarikjot changed his story once again, this time suggesting a macabre pact between him and Jasmine to end their lives together. However, he ultimately backed out of this horrifying plan, conceding that he knew where a body could be found. This chilling revelation further deepened the horror of the situation, underscoring the gravity of his actions and the lives he had callously destroyed. Investigators proceeded to the location Tarikjot had indicated, which was a remote area north of Adelaide. Upon arrival, they made a gruesome discovery. Jasmine's remains were found in a shallow grave. What immediately struck them as inconsistent with Tarikjot's story was the way Jasmine's body was found. Her hands were bound behind her back, her feet were tied together, and she had been blindfolded. Nearby, her personal belongings, including her glasses, name badge from work, and shoes, were discovered. These findings contradicted Tarikjot's narrative, raising serious suspicions about his involvement in her tragic demise. The investigators, now even more suspicious of his questionable story, delved deeper into the case, leading to the discovery of crucial surveillance footage captured just hours before Jasmine's disappearance. In the surveillance footage obtained from a local Bunnings hardware shop at Mile High End in Adelaide, Tarjot was seen purchasing disturbing items: a jerrycan, gaffer tape, gloves, a shovel, and cable ties. Astonishingly, he appeared remarkably calm and composed, displaying no signs of anxiety or distress. He interacted casually, even signing the COVID declaration form and seeking assistance from an employee. After making his purchase at the till, he left the store, seemingly unfazed by the sinister nature of his acquisitions. Approximately an hour later, another camera captured him filling up his car later that evening. Following the seizure of his phone, investigators uncovered a trove of text messages he had sent to Jasmine and her family in the months leading up to the tragic events. These discoveries further implicated Tarjot in Jasmine's disappearance and painted a chilling picture of his intentions and actions. Investigators discovered two unsettling unsent text messages on Tarikjot Singh's phone, sent to Jasmine in the days preceding her disappearance. The first message cryptically stated, "Deep inside what I feel good can't get over." The second, more chilling message read, "Your bad luck that I'm still alive. Cheap. Wait and watch. You will get the answer, each and every single one of you will get the answer." In light of these disturbing messages and the mounting evidence against him, Tarjot Singh was formally arrested and charged with the kidnapping and murder of Jasmine. Despite these charges, his family vehemently denied his involvement in the heinous crime. Following the end of their relationship in early March, Tarjot Singh meticulously planned the abduction and murder of Jasmine. On the same evening he acquired the tools for his heinous act from Bunnings. He borrowed his roommate's car, changed the SIM card in his phone just before 10 p.m., and abducted Jasmine from her workplace at the Southern Cross Care Home in North Plimpton. The evidence indicated that Jasmine was forcibly restrained, with her hands tied behind her back and her feet bound together. She was undoubtedly blindfolded and gagged, then kidnapped in the borrowed car. Tarjot Singh, however, has never specified the exact details of what transpired between them after the abduction. Tarjot Singh then drove nearly 5 hours and over 250 miles north into the Flinders Ranges, a remote area in South Australia. During this horrifying journey, Jasmine undoubtedly experienced terrifying levels of anxiety. Tarjot had plenty of time to contemplate his heinous actions, yet he proceeded with his sinister plan without hesitation. He later claimed that he made superficial cuts on Jasmine's neck but not enough to kill her. Jasmine was then placed in a shallow grave. A subsequent autopsy revealed the horrifying truth: she had inhaled dirt into her lungs, confirming beyond any doubt that she was still alive when Tarjot buried her. Even more chilling was the realization that he likely knew she was still breathing when he callously shoveled dirt on top of her, adding to the barbarity of his actions. Following the gruesome details of the case becoming public, there was widespread national outrage against Tarjot Singh, particularly from Jasmine's grieving family and friends. Despite initially pleading not guilty, he later changed his plea to guilty just weeks before his trial was scheduled. Faced with a mandatory life sentence behind bars, his defense team attempted to argue a so-called crime of passion, asserting that his judgment had been severely impaired due to a mental collapse following the breakdown of his relationship. However, the prosecution rejected these claims, highlighting the premeditated nature of the crime in the days leading up to Jasmine's murder. During the trial, the prosecution emphasized that the murder was not efficient. Rather, Jasmine had been subjected to immense suffering at the hands of Tarjot Singh. These details, combined with the evidence of premeditation, further reinforced the heinous nature of his crime. The prosecution underscored that the cause of Jasmine's death was recorded as the active inhalation and ingestion of soil. It is almost impossible to comprehend the sheer terror she must have experienced, being conscious and aware of what was happening to her. The prosecution characterized the killing as displaying an uncommon level of cruelty, describing it as an act of vengeance or revenge. They also pointed out Tarjot's refusal to provide details on various aspects of the crime, despite his guilty plea, as evidence of his lack of remorse and accountability. During his sentencing, The judge expressed the profound difficulty in finding adequate words to describe the horror Jasmine must have felt when Tarikjot placed her in the grave. The judge highlighted the terror she experienced when she realized she was being buried alive, emphasizing the sheer brutality of the crime. What is evident is that the manner in which she chose to end Miss Kaur's life was both reckless and brutal. The judge emphasized that every detail of the murder, from its planning to its execution and the subsequent attempts to cover it up, indicated a cold and calculated level of premeditation. Consequently, on July 5, 2021, Tarjot Singh was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 23 years behind bars. Upon becoming eligible for parole, Tarjot will be in his 40s, but the gravity of his crime ensures that his punishment is commensurate with the heinous act he committed. Tarjot will be in his 40s if he is ever released from prison. In all likelihood, he will face deportation back to India. The complex emotions of love, when faced with an abrupt end, can sometimes transform into feelings of hate and rage. Tarikjot's response to the end of his relationship with Jasmine was horrifying. His extreme stalking behavior, despite Jasmine's efforts to report him and the authorities' attempts to caution him, showcases the terrifying extent of his premeditation and obsession. The calculated and cold-blooded nature of Tarikjot's actions is horrifying. He had numerous opportunities to change his mind and yet continued his heinous plan without any regard for Jasmine's life. The depth of his calculated behavior, coupled with his complete indifference toward the person he claimed to love, is unimaginable. He kidnapped her, left her dying in a shallow grave, and displayed a shocking level of disregard for human life. There are no mitigating factors, no rationale, and no hope for redemption in this brutal crime. The horror that Jasmine faced at the hands of her ex-boyfriend is beyond comprehension, leaving her family and friends in a state of profound grief. Jasmine's mother expressed regret for sending her daughter to Australia, a decision that tragically led to this devastating outcome. "I miss her every single day. There was no one to rescue her, and she spent her last hour on this earth with the worst of humanity. Jasmine is gone, and I am heartbroken. She was a precious young woman." Jasmeen Kaur was only 21 years old when she died. Like any other person her age, she had hopes and dreams for an independent and promising future. She took significant steps to obtain a good education, working in a job that she loved and studying to become qualified in another caring profession. Her family described her as endlessly loving and always willing to help anyone in need. Even her choice of studying nursing was driven by her desire to care for her mother properly. Sadly, Jasmine had all of these chances stolen from her, and her entire future was robbed by a man who became dangerously infatuated with her. Despite Jasmine's desperate attempts to break up, her friends and family are justifiably angry at what was taken from them. However, they also remember what Jasmine brought into their lives and the lives of others. Members of her family made the long journey out to the Flinders Ranges, where Jasmine's life was taken from her. They laid flowers and paid their respects, and while that place can hold nothing but painful memories, it was important in their long journey of healing.